Indicted Congressman George Santos is accepting his fate tonight, admitting he expects his colleagues will vote him out of Congress during a 3-hour tirade on social media Friday.
I know I'm going to get expelled when this expulsion resolution goes to the floor. I have done the math over and over, and it doesn't look really good.
Embattled Republican Congressman George Santos joined a 3-hour-long X Spaces call to basically whine, rage, and cope about his potential expulsion from the House following a pretty damning Ethics Committee investigation. Now, we shared that Ethics Committee investigation with you. It found that Santos was misusing donor money on Botox and OnlyFans. But if you forgot what the investigation found, why don't we do a little refresher on some of the greatest highlights?
The blistering report accused Santos of spending campaign donations on nearly everything but his run for office. Instead, he allegedly used the money to pay for his personal rent, to take out cash from an ATM at a casino, to spend lavishly at designer stores, for cosmetic treatments like Botox, and on the website OnlyFans, which is known for its adult content.
There's more. For instance, Representative Santos sought to fraudulently exploit every aspect of his House candidacy for his own personal financial profit, investigators wrote. They noted that he did not cooperate with the report and repeatedly evaded straightforward requests for information. And by the way, those findings by the House Ethics Committee is actually in addition to a Justice Department criminal investigation into Santos and his alleged illegal dealings, including financial fraud and money laundering. That's what he's being accused of by the DOJ. And while speaking with conservative host Monica Matthews on X around 2 weeks after that ethics report came out, Santos claimed to be honored to be expelled from the House. So let's take a little listen to that.
I don't care. You want to expel me? I'll wear it like a badge of honor. I'll be the 6th expelled member of Congress in the history of Congress. And guess what? I'll be the only one expelled without a conviction.
Now, Woz, maybe we're being unfair to this poor guy, okay? Maybe he's not, there's no due process. Maybe that's the case here, okay? I mean, can't a member of Congress, a government body that's known for insider trading, allow for George Santos to misuse donor money on Botox? Are we really gonna look down our noses at him for doing that?
This used to be a proper country, and when politicians were bought off the old-fashioned way with, nice stocks and all kinds of, get to ride on people's private planes and get to go to their country clubs and, the old-fashioned way. And it's quite hilarious the level of spice this guy is talking with about his own expulsion from Congress. And I think that's what they're really mad about. It's the reckless nature of the corruption. Obviously, nobody in Congress is against corruption. We see that with, like you said, all the insider trading, the lobbying, all of this stuff, the revolving door stuff that we see in Congress. Like, nobody's actually against that. They're just like, look, there's a way to do this, and using your campaign funds to get OnlyFans, it's just not how this is generally carried out. And so, yes, he's gonna go down in history for being one of the few politicians dirty enough to actually, draw the ire of his colleagues.
My absolute favorite part of his X Spaces appearance, if you want to call it that, or interview, was how he used it as an opportunity to take some pretty serious jabs at other members of Congress. So I don't want to put words in his mouth. I don't want to give too much away. Let's hear what he had to say about them.
These people have one thing that astonishes me every single day that I'm in their presence is they all act like they are on ivory towers with white pointy hats and they're untouchable. I mean, within the ranks of the United States Congress, there's felons galore. There's people with all sorts of shisty backgrounds. And all of a sudden, George Santos is the Mary Magdalene of United States Congress. We're all going to stone this motherfucker. because it's just politically expedient. I'm not running for re-election, not because this was a damning report. I'm not running for re-election because I don't want to work with a bunch of hypocrites. It's gross. I have colleagues who are more worried about getting drunk every night with the next lobbyist that they're going to screw and pretend like none of us know what's going on and sell off the American people, not show up to vote because they're too hungover or whatever the reason is, or not show up to vote at all and just give their card out like candy for someone else to vote for them. This happens every single week. Where are the ethics investigations and that? That breaks House rules.
I mean, I think that all of that is happening. I don't think he's wrong, but that doesn't like justify what he's accused of doing. Like, I love how he's like, did you know that there is sex between members of Congress and lobbyists in this fine establishment? Were you aware of that? Yeah, I mean, I could suspect something like that would happen. Like, are we really shocked by that? And how does that at all?
Of course not.
Like, how would that justify what you're doing, Santos? That doesn't somehow make it better that you're misusing donor money on porn and Botox. Like, come on.
And that's the part that gives away the game. There's absolutely no accountability on his part, right? Like if he came out and said, you know what, I did misappropriate these funds. I did do some things. I did break some rules and I deserve to lose my job for it. But guess what? There are people also breaking the rules. I think this stuff would land a little bit differently, but the self-aggrandizement and the self-victimhood, it's like, stop it, bro.
I know, but I gotta say, you know, a lot of conflicts between public figures, not even people in the political realm, but they tend to play out on social media. They tend to play out publicly. I honestly hate that, and I can't stand that that's the kind of culture and era that we're living in at the moment. But it is amazing how many salacious accusations we've heard from Republican members of Congress, right? Madison Cawthorn was a good example. And once he came out and said that, you know, members of Congress are engaging in like cocaine-fueled, sex parties and things like that, the Republican Party came for him. And obviously he lost re-election. And then you have George Santos making these salacious accusations against them. And nothing surprises me anymore. So do I think members of Congress sleep with lobbyists? Yes. I mean, I don't even know if I don't think that's illegal. And it, again, doesn't justify anything that Santos has done. But of the colleagues that he's referring to or attacking is Robert Garcia of California. So he was also on the call and he had some harsh words for George Santos. I have not heard this yet and I'm looking forward to hearing it for the first time. Let's listen.
We're going to come back to Congress this week in the US House. You know this, there's an expulsion resolution against you by the chair of the ethics committee of your party,
yes,
the Republican Party. We're going to be voting on that. You know how I'm going to be voting, and I think a vast majority of the conference. Why not just do the right thing and resign? Why not resign before we take the vote? We're going to vote to expel you, George.
Hold on.
I like that he called in. That's good. I'm glad that he engaged in that confrontation with George Santos. Any final words on this story and the fate of freshman Republican Congressman George Santos was?
Just a couple of things. One, like just the idea that anybody was funding this clown's campaign when at every step of the way we learned that he was a liar and a fraud just blows my mind that this guy had any funding to misappropriate in the first place. And second, Congressman Garcia expecting some level of professionalism, decorum, self-respect from George Santos is rich.
Right, Garcia told Axios that he plans to force a vote on his resolution to expel Santos the second that the House opens on Tuesday of this week. And one House Republican predicted that all but a few dozen Republicans will vote to expel Santos on the second go around. Remember, they already held a vote on expelling Santos, and I think they made the right decision at the time. They did not vote to expel him. And at the time I agreed with that because he hadn't been convicted of anything. Like there was really no culmination of an investigation. And I just felt like it really wasn't up to members of Congress to make that decision to expel someone who hadn't been found guilty of anything yet. Like there were accusations, but the investigations were ongoing. Now that the House Ethics Committee has finalized their investigation and put out this report, yeah, I think there's enough there to justly expel him. So we'll see how it plays out. But it is amazing that there's still just a few dozen Republicans who will vote against the expulsion of George Santos. The other thing I want to just quickly note is whenever someone is running for Congress or any elected office, the media they go to work. Usually their political opponents help the media in opposition research. And what's amazing to me is that the New York Times, all of these hotshot legacy media outlets didn't think to do a deep dive into George Santos until after he was elected. So we didn't know about what a raging liar and fraud he is until after he was already elected to this congressional seat. It's just infuriating.
He's checking a lot of the nice boxes, though. He's Latinx, he's gay, he's got the good woke stuff going for him. So it seemed like a pretty cool story. If he were just an average, regular, claiming to be conservative, gay guy, Latino from New York, I think people would have been fine with it. It's just the fraud was just so blatant. Synagogues he never been to and being related to rabbi. It was just nuts, this guy with the lies.
So crazy, absolutely insane.
Hey, thanks for watching that video. We really appreciate it, guys. And we appreciate it if you become members because that allows us to be independent, honest, progressive, all the things that you don't get from corporate media. And all of that is because of you guys. Hit the join button below and become one of us, become a Young Turk.